Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Monsters Den. In the co-captain's chair, Mr. Rich Catino.
Afternoon.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
And
For
we're
another,
supposed to have
another-
Chris Allo with us today, but Chris is having lots of computer issues. So we're hoping he joins us in progress, but he said to start
Cool.
without him. And if he does, awesome. If he doesn't, we'll catch him the next go around. Anyway, today's topic is all about teenage horror, I like to call it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Teenagers in peril. Teenagers
In peril,
getting,
yes.
right?
Yeah. I like that. Teenagers in peril.
Teenagers in peril. And
Yeah.
man, there's been a lot of teenagers in peril films over the years. I mean, you could probably say the 1980s was all about horror films featuring teenagers in peril and getting butchered, right? I mean, there's so many.
I mean, if you think about it, how many of them really involved the adults that were in peril,
Very
that
few.
were threatened? Very few. It was mostly, the teenagers.
Yeah. In fact, I was watching yesterday, and this one goes back to the late 70s, but I was watching Massacre at Central High yesterday, and you don't see any adults in the entire film until like the last 5 minutes. And it's all the kids the entire film, but a lot of these are kind of like that too. And there's so many of these little mini franchises and things that popped up throughout the 80s that we could have done, any number of them, but we decided today, and this is based on a couple that I recently kind of rewatched that kind of spurred this whole thing. We can do successive episodes on this topic, but today we're going to cover Prom Night from 1980, and these all came within a short time of each other.
Yeah.
Slumber Party Massacre, which was 1982, and then Sleepaway Camp, which was 83, right?
Yep. 83. Yeah.
So all in a short span of each other, and all really good. And ironically, well, Sleepaway Camp spawned a bunch of sequels.
Right.
Slumber Party Massacre, was that the only one, or did they have another one or two? I thought they might have had a sequel.
Slumber Party Massacre was 3 altogether.
3 altogether, right?
So if you get the Scream Shout Factory edition, you get all 3 in the set, which is cool. And you get this nice little booklet too.
Right. But Prom Night was a standalone.
Well, no, there's a couple.
Was there?
Yeah, there was. Wasn't there a couple sequels?
I thought
I want to say. Wasn't there a sequel?
I don't know. I don't remember there being one, but
let me check. I thought there was one.
Correct.
Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it was a remake. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, it could have been a remake. Yeah, it could have been a remake.
And it was not good.
Wait, no, it said Prom Night was followed by 3 sequels, each of which had little in common with the 1980 film, aside from it being set at the same Hamilton High.
Okay.
And then there was also a remake. There he is.
I don't see him yet, me myself though. I just see you still.
Okay, I see him. I don't know if that can see him. He's trying.
That's right. It was what's the other 2 called? 2 sequels.
They are called. Let's see if we can get this information here.
I totally forgot.
Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Mary Lou, yes.
Okay.
I knew that.
And the third one was Prom Night 3, The Last Kiss. Okay, so then the fourth film, Prom Night 4, Deliver Us from Evil.
Never saw that.
I never saw any of those other ones, I don't think, which is why.
The second one I saw, and it was awful. That's how I remember the title. So I think I stopped after that. I was like, all right, I'm done after 2.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I for whatever reason, I thought this was a standalone. Well, which, quite frankly, did they ever make any of these types of films in the 80s that didn't have sequels? Very, very rare, right?
Very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah.
So start with the first one. So I actually like this one quite a bit. And I just recently picked this up on Blu-ray. This is from Synapse Films, who does a really good job. I think Scream Factory and Synapse do some really nice restorations of some of these films. There's the original DVD. I had that one as well.
Right.
Written or directed by Paul Lynch. Okay, written by William Gray, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, probably at the height of her popularity, fresh off of Terror Train and, of course, Halloween 1 and 2, right? And also starring Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, before he did The Naked Gun.
Right. Played a very small role in this film, though. Very small role.
Yeah.
But, basically this is, how this all starts is the beginning of the film. They show it's like years earlier than the actual events of when the film takes place. And you have these little kids who are like hanging out in this old like abandoned building, and they're playing this game called the Killer or something like that, which is basically hide and seek, right? But the one person hides and everybody else are the killers, and they have to go find the person who's hiding. And it's a prime example of kind of like almost bullying to an extent. Whereas when they find the person who's hiding, it's like, killer's gonna get you, the killer's gonna kill you, and they're doing it. They're overdoing it for one. And the young girl who is trying to hide, she gets really freaked out, and they won't let up, and she eventually winds up falling out of the building and dying. Right. So all the other kids, they agree, instead of calling the police or whatever, they agree that we're just going to leave. We're not going to tell anybody this happened, and we're going to keep this a secret forever.
Right.
So then we fast forward 6 years, and they're all in high school. It's the prom, right? And all of a sudden, and I think it's the anniversary of the girl's death, right? And then you get someone who is calling and pranking all of these. I think 4 girls or 3 girls or 4 girls and 1 boy.
One boy,
and they're all getting these phone calls, saying, your time, I remember, and all this kind of stuff.
And the killer, if you remember, he takes the pictures out of the pages of the yearbook. And puts it in the school in their locker, on top of their locker or something.
And when he's on the phone, you can see the phone, and he's doing this with the pencil, and he's crossing off.
He's crossing off their names.
I remember, and all this kind of stuff. So then all the events kind of leading up to the big prom night. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, she plays the older sister of the girl that was killed, right? And then there's the brother, who the brother and the sister were actually before the sister goes into the school or the old building to play. Her and the brother are just kind of like walking around with their bicycles, and he's like, nah, I don't want to play with them, I'm going to go home. She's like, I'm going to go in, right? So and Leslie Nielsen is the principal and the father of them. So basically Jamie Lee Curtis's character is kind of friends with all of these other people that were at this event 6 years prior, but she wasn't there. So she's now dating the guy, who was the one boy, and one of the girls used to date the guy, but they broke up, and she's now the big school bitch, right? She turns hot blonde and everything. She's the bitch, right? And so basically, the killer now is out to get all of them, to get revenge.
But we don't know who that is. It's still a mystery throughout the story.
It's still a mystery till the final act, the night it all goes down, the night of the prom, right? Kind of like in Carrie, all the shit hits the fan, right? And you're left guessing throughout the whole movie, like who this person is. But then when they finally reveal who it is, you're kind of like, that makes sense now. That's actually it's pretty obvious once you know. Makes total sense. But it's actually a really cool film. It's not overly bloody, although there's a scene where the kind of the school like metalhead jerk guy gets his head cut off, which is amazing. Really cool. And there's some decent kills in here. You get a little bit.
I noticed a few of them. You really don't see anything happen though. You just see the after effect of the aftermath of what happens, what he did to them, and that's all you see. You know something's going to happen, and the camera goes to another shot.
And then you see the dead person laying there, right? So, but I think it's a good film. It's fun. I think Jamie Lee Curtis probably looks the hottest in this film out of any of the other ones that she was in right around.
She looks a little older too. She looks a little more mature.
She does. And I don't know if she passes for a 17 or 18-year-old, but whatever. But she's pretty hot in this. Of course, there's this famous scene in the women's locker room where, of course, she's got her, her shirt all the way open. And she's just running around that whole scene with just the bra and everything like that. Then there's the other scene where she's in her skimpy dress, and she's like dancing all over the place. And so, it's a pretty notable slasher, like a teen slasher flick. And, I think it holds up pretty well. All these years later is a really good one. So that's our first one for today we're going to discuss. So from there, we're going to go to...
Notice real quick. Before you go on. You know what the premise kind of is very similar to a later horror movie?
What's that?
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that, because I was rewatching this the other day. My wife came in and she goes, "This is like almost the same as I know what you did last summer." It's like, yeah, it kind of is, kind of.
And when you're looking in the cafeteria scene, there's a Kiss poster hanging up. It's in the background.
I don't know.
I caught that.
Wow.
I wrote that down. And you know what's different about this one too? There's no scary music when the killer's on screen.
Right.
All these horror movies, there's this creepy tone and this score that's going on. For this movie, you hear just that disco music playing at the prom in the background.
Right, right.
So a few different things for this movie.
Yeah, because all the killing happens at the prom. Like really nothing happens beforehand. Right. Other than they keep trying to make you guess who the killer could be, right? Like I'm not going to give anything away if you haven't seen it. But yeah, and it's from its time. I mean, this film was shot in 79, released in 80. So like, most of the music that's in the film is all this disco stuff, right? Which
Yeah.
All right, from there we go 2 years up to Slumber Party Massacre. Okay, this is the Steelbook edition right here.
And I have the DVD version with the original poster art.
No, wrong one. You got Sleepaway Camp.
Oops.
That's a cool cover right there.
Yes, very cool.
Yeah.
That's the original poster too.
Yep. Interesting enough, in this film, no hiding the facts who the killer is in this movie. You know who he is from the first 5 minutes, and of course they put him right on the box, and
yeah, and which is fine. It's cool to have a regular average person, but he's just crazy.
Yeah, the driller killer, I always call him, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's into power tools, this guy, and no rhyme or reason for his rampage, other than I guess he supposedly escaped from some asylum. They never really talk too much about who he is or why he is.
You hear it on the radio on the radio a couple times, like when they're in the car and things like that.
Yeah, so they're out looking for him, but he's not really trying to hide. He's just he's just popping into houses and killing. It's not like he knows any of the girls or anything like that. So ironically enough, this film is directed by a woman, so Amy Holden Jones, written by Rita Mae Brown. So directed and written by two ladies.
She was a feminist. I didn't know that. Rita Mae Brown was a feminist.
Yeah. Go figure. So a good amount of carnage in this film, a good amount of nudity. This has got a little bit of everything. So, if you're into that sort of thing, some pretty spectacular kills with that. That girl with these power tools. And
I love the shoulder kill. The shoulder kill comes because it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. You don't see it coming. Yep. There's things that the person's doing one thing, and all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, where did that come from? It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, the whole premise of this film is it's got the lead character, this teenage girl, and her parents are away, so she decides to have all the girlfriends over, so they all come over. And of course, the killer decides to pick that house to rampage and kill some folks. And just one by one trying to pick them off. And he's definitely this is him right here. He's definitely psychotic. He's always sweating. And he's got that weird, stare. And he doesn't, I think he says one line in the entire film?
He says, I love you. You're my girlfriend. Yeah. So crazy.
I know, right? But the body count is pretty high. And like I said, the gore is pretty good. It's a pretty fast-paced film. And, if you love lots of gore and, a big body count and a bit of nudity, I mean, this is...
there's a pretty decent amount of nudity, actually.
There is, yeah.
And I guess you can call it gratuitous camera work, because you notice the camera work, it's on the shot of the girls, but then all of a sudden it starts moving down, so you can see her butt, or you can see her boobs. It's pretty funny.
And the scene with the two guys, they're sitting outside the window and they're watching change. They stayed in that scene forever, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one of the actresses right there. But
there's two interesting thing I wrote down too. There's two final girls, not just one. You can kind of say three final girls, actually. Right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, because you have the two next door. You have the one brunette who lives next door and her younger sister, right? In addition to was there four in the house, I think, and at the slumber party? Was it four of them or five? I'm trying to remember.
There was five, I think.
Five, right?
I think there was five girls and two boys.
Right. The two boys came later, right? They weren't originally invited. They just kind of like invited themselves. And
actually, no, you're right. 4 girls, then the 2 boys, and then the 2 girls that were next door.
Right.
That came over. Right.
Yeah, the older sister and the younger one. They were new. They just moved to the neighborhood, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty cool. A pretty cool film. I dig that one quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, 1983's Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah. Same box art for the regular DVD.
Yep. So this one directed by Robert Hiltzik. Okay. Starring Felissa Rose, Catherine Cammey, Paul D'Angelo, and Mike Kellen. So this one spawned 3 sequels: Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers in 88, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland in 89, and Return to Sleepaway Camp in 2008. So
which I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Is that any good? I haven't seen it.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I've seen any of the sequels, to be honest. I might have seen the second one, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
This is like really the only one that I saw multiple times, and I remember seeing this in the theaters.
Right.
And,
but the Return to Sleepaway Camp has Felissa Rose in it. So she's been, I think, in all of them, right?
I thought there was one she wasn't, but I don't remember which one.
Chris would know. Is he here, or he didn't make it?
No, he tried to come on again, and he just he sent me a text. Hold on, and he's like,
looks like
getting you know why? His computer was forcing him into a Windows update.
Oh.
For anybody of you who have, I mean, I've been using Macs forever now, but I remember when I used to have a Windows machine, it would pick the worst time ever to say, time to do an update, and you can't do anything else. So that was probably blocking him from coming on to Zoom.
Yeah.
So there you have that.
Well, it looks like I clicked on her page. It looks like she was only in Sleepaway Camp and Returned to Sleepaway Camp.
So the first and the last.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think she was in the next 2, if I'm correct here with what I'm looking at.
She turned into a good-looking woman, that Felissa Rose.
Yeah. And she's going to be in the movie that we've been talking about a lot, but I don't think it's been talked about on the channel yet, right? Terrifier?
No, we have not talked about it here yet.
She's going to be in the second one.
Yeah. So that's coming out. When is that? When is the release date for that?
I don't know. It keeps on getting pushed back because of the pandemic, I think.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Yeah.
But she's there's a very interesting documentary, which I think is fairly recent, on the new Blu-ray of this. And she's interviewed quite a bit in that. And she talks a lot about the film, and also the young kid who plays the kind of male lead, the one that she's supposedly cousins with in the film, right? So there's a whole backstory about how the 2 of them were really attracted to each other during the making of the film, and they both talk about that. You know, I mean, they were only, I think he was 17, she was like 14 at the time or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but a really, really good documentary here. But back to the film. So basically, the beginning of the film shows at the camp years earlier, a father and his 2 kids who are out on the lake on a boat, right? They're just hanging out, getting some sun, whatever. It's like a sailboat. And then they cut to this teenage couple, or maybe there was 3, a boy and a girl driving a boat.
Driving the boat, right.
With another girl behind on the jet ski, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the girl takes the reins of the boat over from the guy, because she says, I can drive a boat. I can drive a boat. And she's not paying any attention, and she's going really fast. Well, of course, what happens? She crashes the motorboat into the sailboat, the little sailboat that the father and the kids are on, and someone gets killed, but they don't tell you who.
Right.
So next thing you fast forward, I think it's 5 years, 6 years after that, or 8 years, something like that. I think it was 8 years later. And
8 years later.
8 years later.
Yep.
So the surviving daughter, is living at the aunt's house. Right. And she's like, I forget the actress who.
What a weird character she is, right?
She is like, she's hardly in the movie at all, but her scene is just like so wacky. And so her and her son, so she's got her son, and the niece staying. So she's going to bring them to camp. Yeah. So, and they go to camp, and the niece, or the Angela, right? So this is the daughter from the first scene, who's, we don't know what happened to the father. We don't know what happened to the brother, right? So she's like not really talking. She's kind of like,
very shy.
Very shy, doesn't really say much. Of course, she gets picked on at camp. Camp
Right.
is a mix of like, you know, younger kids and some that are a little bit, you know, in their late teens or what have you. And there's got all these other cast of characters. You got the real creepy cook guy, right?
What a weirdo.
Oh, he's totally weird. He's like a pedophile, right?
Yeah, talk about an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Like these kind of things, you could only do these kind of scenes in the 80s. You could tell this is definitely a movie of its time. You know, things that were, you know, could be going on in the camp and nobody would say anything about it. And, you know, unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
The
cook's assistant is actually James Earl Jones's father, and you know it right away.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because he started talking, and I'm like, wait a second, that sounds a lot like James Earl Jones, and I went and looked it up. It's his father. I think it was like the last film he ever did. Yeah.
The creepy cook though gets his due though.
He gets his due. He gets his due. Then there's the camp manager, the old guy with the cigar.
Yeah, he's another weirdo.
And then there's the camp director, who's the workout buff guy, right? The Italian buff guy. He's weird. So there's a lot of really weird characters. And then, of course, you got most of the older girls, the older teenage girls who are working as camp counselors.
Right.
They're all like real bitches.
Total bitches.
And they totally have it in against Angela, who's the girl who does not really talk or anything like that. And her cousin gets into some fights with some of the bullies and all this kind of stuff. Well, one by one, people start getting killed. Okay.
Whoever bullies Angela starts disappearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like
disappearing, they start dying.
Yeah, they start dying. So ironically, though, after all these deaths, they still keep the camp going. You would have thought after one or two, they would be like, all right, everybody home.
Do the cops ever show up at any point? I don't think so, do they?
I think one of them does. And that's the one guy who has
maybe when the guy gets burned and the ambulance comes?
Yes.
Maybe that?
One other time, but it's like they don't investigate.
Right.
Goes and the
camp just keeps going,
Camp manager's like, well, let's keep this a little quiet because we don't want to send anybody home. And then if you notice, they show in the special features the cop who's an idiot. He comes in one scene and he's got like a nice looking mustache, as mustaches are. And then you see him later in the film and he comes in again and his mustache looks totally different. It looks completely
I never noticed that detail.
And if you they talk about it in the special features about how, you know, he came and shot his scene very early, but he had to do another movie. So he had to shave the mustache. And then by the time he came back to finish his other scene, he didn't have time to grow it back. So they put a fake mustache on him and it looks completely fake. It's so cheesy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it goes through the film and everybody starts getting killed. And, you know, you wonder like, well, who is it? Who is it? Some pretty spectacular kills in the film.
Yes.
And then
makeup effects are great too. The makeup effects are great.
Really good. And you know, we're not gonna say what it is, but the ending of the film has this pretty mind-blowing twist. That when I first saw it, I didn't see it coming at all.
No, I don't think anybody did. I think it's probably the most shocking and surprise horror endings of the 80s. Yeah.
And then the more you watch it and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. But then you think about it and you're like, it kind of makes sense. I can kind of see where they would come up with that. It's just definitely one of those, you know, WTF finales in any of these horror films from this decade.
Yes.
Right.
And another little trivia thing. Did you see the poster that's hanging up in the bathroom shower area?
I don't remember.
A Loverboy poster.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yes.
You can see like the corner of it.
ERBOY, right? Yes.
Yes. I was like, wait, is that a Loverboy poster?
Well, I mean, perfect for the time, right? This is what, 83? Loverboy were on top of the world.
They were huge then.
Yeah, they were. So this is a good one. This is definitely one of those kind of creepy, and there's a lot of creepiness about the movie that, like you said, the cook guy is just like, and a lot of the stuff that happens in this movie, from the finale to all the other things, you would not get away with this today.
No.
So, great. Definitely a good one. And
classic.
And a high body count. So you know, what we should have done, we should have tallied up all the kills in all these films. But there's a good amount of them. There's a good amount. So there you have it, everybody. Some teenage horror, teenage slasher, teenagers in peril, whatever you want to call it. Prom Night, Slumber Party Massacre, and Sleepaway Camp. If you guys have any other gems from trying to escape that early mid-afternoon sun, which is creeping through my my shades here. There we go, right in the middle of my face. If anybody has any other you know, films you want to talk about, put them in the comments below. we'll certainly be reading those comments. Otherwise, we'll sign off here on another edition of the Monsters Den. Rich, you want to tell folks where they can find you these days, other than here?
Metalasylum.net, Brave Words Magazine, and the Metal Hall of Fame. And I do your top 10 countdowns and album rankings too, also from time to time.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, Rich is a regular here on the channel, so look for more stuff with Rich and myself. And sorry we didn't get to see Chris here today, but thanks, Microsoft.
Well, we're going to see him this week, right? We're doing a taping with him this week.
Yeah, so we might as well announce it. So we are going to do another Monsters Den with the three of us this week. What day do we pick? Is that Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think it's Thursday.
That's Thursday. Okay, so this Thursday, we're going to be talking about some vampire films, but not Dracula films.
Not Dracula.
Okay, so there's a lot of cool vampire films that have been made over the years that don't have the name Dracula attached to it. So we're going to be talking about some of those, 3 each. So it's a triple feature from each of us coming up this Thursday. So check that out. Holy cow, that sun is just blasting through here today.
You got dots going down the side of you right now.
I know, right there. Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah, they come right through it's always right around this time, usually from about 2 o'clock till 4.
Yeah.
Because the sun comes up over the trees right across the street, so it just kind of pounds right through. So there you have it, everybody. Some more tasty bits, tasty horror bits here on the Monsters Den. We'll see you all real soon. For Rich Catino, I am Pete Pardo. Good night,
thanks, guys.